Okay. Uh, Welcome for whoever's here on such a short notice to my Black Desert stream. As the title implies, I'm just gonna be showing some Dark Knight grinding. I just kind of like wanted to take the chance to mention stuff that has been going on recently. Well, actually, the lack of stuff that's been going on recently. And that's regarding to the blog Worldwide Game Watchers and my YouTube channel, not my personal stuff like cleaning up my house, which I really should be doing before New Year's. But anyway, so there were a couple of stuff that I really wanted to do, but have never gone around executing. Like, for example, talking about my experiences with the Period Chronicle demo during G-Star, which was on November, and there's also this video on Hyper Universe that I was working on that I kind of like stopped midway, that I should also be doing. Oh, and since her second weapon was revealed, well, kind of revealed through a developer's, some kind of like developer communication thingy, I should also probably do a short article on that as well. But you know, the thing about Vindictus is that I find the concept of Herc's second weapon very enticing. The motions were certainly awesome, and it seems like they're trying to break away. It's another attempt for them to try to break away from their usual normal attack and smash combination basis they have for combat. I'm pretty curious to see which direction they're going to go with that. But the thing is, even though the concept for the weapon is interesting, I've just kind of lost interest in the game itself. I think the moment that I really lost heart was when I noticed that damage limit exceeding has become an actual stat. I mean, the first developer implemented that limit because, well, using his words, he didn't want a situation where players would eventually gear up to the point where they could kill Chieftain in 1 or 2 smashes. But well, that has already been the case for some time. So yeah, so with the addition of ways to exceed the attack cap, kind of makes me wonder. I mean, if they're going to do that anyway and make it like trying to make the game as generic as possible, why bother playing with stats and not just remove the limit altogether? And only explanation I could think of is that they didn't want to be excused of being a complete sellout, so they opted for an option that makes them a 99% sellout. So yeah, I guess 1% is something. So that's the problem with Vindictus with me right now. It lost its original charm. It used to be about the challenge with fighting against bosses, but and then it has opted to go for the generic gear grinding route, which I really hate because I mean I understand the appeal of it, and seeing how they're like whole genres centered around that concept, but for me it's just not really something I enjoy. Like for example, I enjoyed every single Diablo games, but I never really played beyond beating story mode. Farming was never something that I enjoyed doing unless like something that I would do unless I was forced to do. That's what they made Vindictus into, a farming game. So much for challenging bosses and intricate hitboxes. All that matters is what kind of gear your party members have, and then the raid boss can become a non-issue. That can be finished in like 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, hitboxes has already become was already out of consideration since season 2. There was some attempts to make hitboxes important again in season 3, but I don't think they really worked out as intended. And yes, I'm also aware of the irony of these complaints when I'm playing Black Desert, but yeah. I mean, Black Desert wasn't like this at first as well. The grind was at a much more reasonable level during closed beta and even early open beta, but it has gradually become a grind game, a super grindy game, and seriously, the only reason I'm still sticking around is because of PvP. Also, that's also losing merit as well, because it's increasingly becoming less about player skills and about who has the bigger stat stick. I mean, I thought that they wouldn't be able to make it more about stats around the time Valencia Part 2 came out, but recent days have made me realize how unimaginative I was. Oh yeah, gear. So yeah, this is my current gear setup for my Dark Knight. Just keep in mind that Kutum has a lot of hidden monster damage, and I've specialized my skills to increase monster damage as well. So yeah, there's a lot of like unseen damage modifiers going on in the background versus monsters, that is. But anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, well... So one experience with PvP I had recently was with my Dark Knight against another Dark Knight, and to be honest, both of us sucked hard, but end result was that I won every single battle. So what happened is that, well, I mean, I've already established that both of us sucked equally. It's just that our gear difference made it impossible for the other Dark Knight to win. There's unbreachable gap between established hardcore players and casual players or new gamers in this game when it comes to PvP, since skill plays such a small role, which is very well illustrated in the Crimson Battlefield. I mean, these days it's not even enough to be level 60 because everyone's level 61 these days. So the bare minimum that I have to aim for is level 59, because at least then I'm at least a minor nuisance. Level 58 these days don't even count as a nuisance in PvP. And that's a problem because getting to level 58 is no small task in itself either. Speaking of balance, one sad thing that I've noticed is that, well, immediately off the bat I can see how that my Dark Knight is significantly slower than my Witch in grinding this area. But the really sad part is that she's still faster than my Valkyrie. And Dark Knight doesn't even have her awakened weapon yet. Just goes to show how crappy Valkyrie is at grinding. But yeah, well, anyway, with all of with all I've said about Vindictus, I still intend to try out Herc when his second weapon is released. Which seems to be basically the concept of Mule and early concept Kai mixed together, because, well, Kai actually was supposed to be a female archer who uses crossbow, demon hunter style. with that said, back to the topic of my blog and YouTube channel. I don't think I'm really going to be productive until at least mid-January. Reason for that is because, well, so since I'm a returning player in Black Desert, I currently have access to Olvia channel, which provides a whopping 100% extra monster experience. My 30-day period ends around mid-January. I think it should be at January 11th of January. Not really sure on the date though. So yeah, until then, my first priority has to be grinding in Black Desert because I want to get to at least being a nuisance level as quickly as possible. And to go on about the other stuff I mentioned. So I was looking for, I haven't really gone to G-Star for a couple years because I was disappointed that they didn't really understand that a gaming convention was about, well, playing games. I mean, yeah, totally revolutionary concept, but G-Star has been devolving into a bunch of cinematic booths and a handful of mobile games. So, yeah, no point in taking a 4-hour train ride to see that. But this year they claim to have more focus on game demos. And it seemed like Nexon was going to had the biggest portion of showroom space, and well, as far as conventions go, that's a good sign because Nexon seems to be the only company that's actually making an effort in G-Star. So I gave G-Star another chance this year. And the end result was that, well, it was partially, I should say it was just a partial disappointment. I mean, there actually were a lot more games to play, and well, most importantly, Imperial Chronicles, which was the only reason why I went there. But the problem is, they still failed to deliver the gaming experience for important titles. They did have a lot more demo booths, but it was more titles that most people didn't care about, or titles that were already in open beta phase, or there were cases, tech showcases. Where the game was already launched titles on console. So unless you're there for the tech, those kind of conventions would have been kind of completely meaningless. And the ever-growing focus on mobile was as prevalent as ever. And that's the biggest thing that turned me off. Well, I mean, I do have to admit, the mobile games, they have gotten better, but they will never be able to move away from their limit that a touchscreen is not a good device for immersive gameplay. At best, they can only operate the casualist of casual games. But of course, game companies don't care about that, since mobile games are a goldmine to have had with that produces amazing returns with minimum effort. So yeah, in the end, all that G-Star had to offer was Peria Chronicles demo, a demo of an MMORPG that was painfully generic. I think it's actually trying to compete with Bless on who can be more generic in this day and age. A demo for a game that was already in open beta. A bunch of mobile games where I think only 2 of them were worth playing. And besides that, it was, again, a bunch of teaser trailers for titles that people were actually interested in. For example, that open world MMO DevCat seems to be developing these days, which would explain why they only released 2 starting episodes during the whole year of 2016. They were too busy developing that game to care about Vindictus. Yeah, so anyway, in the end it was just a whole bunch of mobile games and teasers. I mean, it really puzzles me how people in the game industry just can't understand that people aren't interested in seeing cinematics that they can just see on YouTube. I guess they just can't wrap their head around the concept that games are supposed to be an interactive media. So that the prerequisite for a convention for this interactive media would be to actually be able to interact with something. which ires me even more because it's not that they're not trying or investing money, because all those theaters that they have set up for teasing their cinematics show a lot of effort and money put into it. It's just that I wish they would have spent that effort and money on something that had more meaning. Those games. So as an excuse, that's part of the reason why I've never gotten around writing about my experiences in G-Star. I mean, I should do a piece still, though, to talk about Period Chronicles, but even there, I'd be hard pressed to find things to write, because it turns out I've already written all there is to about Period Chronicles in the earlier article I wrote on what I've deciphered from the combat showcase video they had up on YouTube. Since I basically got all the points right with how the combat system works. So there's not really a lot more to add on to it, except for, well, how the actual combat felt when I'm playing it myself. So to tell you the conclusion beforehand with how I felt with Superior Chronicles combat is that it's adequate. I mean, it's not amazing, and it's not as bad as people would think it is from just looking at the trailer. Which is so far okay, because combat isn't Superior Chronicles' main feature, just like combat is certainly not the main feature of Skyrim. But the combat in Period Chronicles is enough to be engaging and get the job done, which is more than I can say for Skyrim's combat. What kind of gear is needed to play in New Elven area? Alright, I'll say off the bat that if you want to be efficient, you should at least have 230 AP and be above level 60. Because I went with my Valkyrie, with my party members last stream. My Valkyrie has almost 220 AP, is level 59, and she wasn't doing anything at all, except for, yeah, so being a minor nuisance to people in PvP has also extended to being a minor nuisance to monsters in Kamasilva. Do you see mobile MMOs got popular, and why are Chinese game companies investing on them? I guess it goes hand in hand with the fact that mobile games are a minimum effort, maximum return type of game. Because let's be honest here, China hasn't exactly been excelling in the creative industries part. And it's been a source of a lot of other countries abroad making big bucks off Chinese consumers, which is something that I'm pretty sure the Chinese government wants to change. And they certainly have been making attempts with online gaming, which wasn't that successful, but who knows? Maybe the mobile gaming industry on their part would have more success. And of what little titles that I have seen come out of China lately, I do think they have a far better chance with mobile than PC gaming. And I think it's because, well, I mean, since mobile is a small small investment scene. That even small-time developers can take a try, and I think that's why the mobile gaming scene in China is showing more promise. Because, I mean, like, with their population, there has to be someone there who has a sorry, let's wait for a second here. So there's got to be some unnamed developer out there who has a large wealth of creativity in him or her, because the big developers in China certainly hasn't been showing any results, any substantial results, that is. But I think their indie scene might have some potential to show something amazing. Anyway, let's go on to the next question. Did they raise the soft cap? Not that anyone has noticed so far. And so far, the efficiency of grinding in Kama Silva is still questionable. I do sometimes see party posts for gathering for Mancho and the wolves out in the field, but not a lot of them though. They're just currently rare occurrences so far. And I have this suspicion that it's kind of like the same situation about when they released Valencia. The first monsters people encountered were those centaurs. I think it's kind of like it's a similar situation with Kamasilva. They just first show off the really hard-hitting baddies first, and then they'll like in part 2 or whatever, they'll show off the more reasonable monsters. How's the DK block? Delayed or instant like Kuno's? It's instant. And she also has several skills that has a block on it. For example, this skill right now has block on it. On cooldown, of course. What do you think of Revelations Online? To be honest, I haven't really been paying close attention to that title, so I don't really have much to say about it. What about forced enchantments? Still try. Are you talking about the like 100% success rate? Because that's still applied to only up to level 15. I mean 15 plus. Or if you're talking about how obnoxious enchanting is, then well, that's still the same as ever. Which I think is actually more obnoxious than usual these days because, well, they did make a recent sale on, okay, how do I say this in English? Craftsman memory? I'm talking about the stuff that increases your durability repairs. So anyway, they had a sale on the 120 packages with 120 of those, and as usual, whenever they do an update that would increase people's likelihood of enchanting stuff, everyone seems to fail a lot more whenever they do updates like that. Of course, the wonderful thing with random luck is that developers can always blame that people are just being particularly unlucky. Anyway, I talked about my recent PvP experience with Dark Knight, and yeah, I mean, to be honest, one thing I want to mention is that I was considering just quitting this game again before the end of the 30-day period of access to Olvia channel. But in the end, I decided to stick around to at least level 50 because of the PvP again. That's why PvP in Black Desert can go fuck itself for making me, for forcing me to keep grinding in this game. So what I'm basically saying is that PvP is still fun. And doing it with Dark Knight was certainly a lot more entertaining than playing as Valkyrie and just staying at one spot, blocking attacks until eventually that one ranger comes in, grabs me, and kills me with 2 hits. With Dark Knight, at least I'll be able to make an attempt to run away. Not that not that far away until I'm eventually caught up, but hey, baby steps, people. Being killed a couple meters away from where I was originally at, it's still a few steps. It's still an improvement over being killed where I was just standing. Who knows, maybe someday I'll be able to completely run away from rangers if I see them coming from a mile away. Hey AFK, after your grind for Dark Knight, can you show me your witch build? Oh, of course I can, but I doubt that it's going to be any help to you, because I've put as much thought into my witch build, the same levels of clicking on whatever icon that I thought looked pretty. Is the Dark Knight difficult class to learn and master? I wouldn't say it's difficult, but I would say it's a hard class to master. Okay, what's the icon beside the experience buff? It's a experience boost for horses. How much of an increase was it? So yeah, 10% increase to horse experience. Now, since they've released the new tier 9 horse. But rumors have it that the internal percentage for actually succeeding in awakening your horse to level tier 9 is 1%. Which, if true, is a completely dick move on Perlibis's part, because 1% is basically impossible to work with, since people have to spend days and millions of silver just to attempt for a try at a tier 9 horse. And the prerequisite for trying is also ridiculous as well, because you'd need a top-notch tier 8 horse to even do the prerequisite training required. So you need a top-notch tier 8 horse, train it to 100%, and also spend millions of silver on the materials required for attempting a triad awakening. So they're consumable, so just gathering them one time isn't enough. If you fail and have to try again, then you have to gather the materials and retrain your horse all over again. And again, although that 1% chance is not confirmed yet, it certainly would make sense of why no one has been able to succeed in making a tier 9 horse yet. Oh, and in other news, they've changed how the loading screen works. It's more generic, showing various locations of Kama Silva. I have mixed feelings about it, because it does look nice, but I kind of miss the original loading screen where they show random knowledges that you have gained throughout the game. It's a good chance to review what kind of knowledges you have and the details of it. But on the other hand, the new loading screens look prettier, and they actually feel more like they're contributing to make Black Desert look like an actual game instead of a fantasy simulator, which is one thing that I've been complaining a lot about Black Desert. So I mentioned earlier that how Black Desert PvP can screw itself for forcing me to keep grinding. It's that, like, that earlier PvP experience I had with my Dark Knight, it reminded me of why I picked up this game again. Because I was reminded of how it was like having fun playing a game. For example, when I'm playing Witcher 3, or even Dead Space 2 when I'm not pissing myself from jump scares. And of course, Vindictus during its early years. I mean, that was a ton load of fun. And also, when I was PvPing Critica, as much as I'm forcing myself to do this grind in Black Desert for Black Desert's PvP, I still maintain that of all the titles that came out in Korea, I still think the PvP in Critica is the best. Shame that it seems like they haven't really been able to balance their gravity, if that makes sense. It's that they've constantly failed to prevent high-end players able to kill their opponent in one combo, because, well, I mean, it's a 3D game where you can combo your opponent by lifting them up in the air and doing air combos, kind of like how the combat in Tekken works. The problem is that with the attack speed, with how much attack speed you can have in that game, it was possible for high-end players to juggle their targets for forever, until they eventually die. Which just adds to my many reasons of why I believe that attack speed as a stat in action games just has to go away. Because attack speed as a stat, it ruined Critica, it ruined Vindictus, it kinda ruined Closers to some extent, not as severe though. And surprisingly, it didn't ruin Black Desert, because Pearl Abyss has shown amazing constraints on not making attack speed a stat that you could raise endlessly with gear in Black Desert. One of the reasons that I hate attack speed as a stat in action games so much is that it makes it impossible for developers to balance slow speed and fast speed. I mean, if you were to balance two things, those two things has to be of static weight. But if there's something that But if those two things that you're trying to balance keeps fluctuating, then it's impossible to balance it. Which is why I firmly believe that DevCat will never be able to properly balance Hammer Field on Vindictus. I mean, also, I should note that they've already been failing in that department even before attack speed was introduced. Seems like every developer has this one thing that they just really particularly crappy on. For example, Vindictus just can't seem, DevCat just seems to be unable to balance slow characters. Black Desert seems to be unable to make ranged characters, which they practically admitted with awakened weapons. And NC seems to be incapable of making a game that isn't a total cash grab. But since I'm on the topic of crappy business practice, although Nexon in Korea is basically the equivalent of EA, I still say Nexon is the best publisher in Korea because all its competitors manage to be even worse. Because like even with all the complaints over EA, which are valid complaints. I mean, I just can't help but think whenever I see, whenever people complain about EA's crappy business practice, the first thing that always comes to my mind is how cute. Because that's what it is. I mean, no matter what kind of crappy stuff EA does, it's always so insignificant compared to what NC is capable of doing. But if there's anyone from EA listening to this, I hope they don't take this as a challenge. Oh, back to the topic of the game that I'm currently playing. I'm right now for my Dark Knight I'm using an 18 plus Yuruya, but the thing is I actually working on a Kazaka weapon. It's just that I just can't get it to 18 plus, and as long and since I actually have a stand-in weapon ready, I want to give 19 plus a few tries, but currently I've been even able to get to 18. And what I thought was to be my endless supply of shards has eventually ran out because over the course of enhancing my Kutum and my Kazarka, I had to like do, let's see, 4, 2, 6, 7 full repairs. So I went all the way down below 20 durability and had to repair it back to a 100 again over 7 times, because that is not counting the times that I did partial repairs. Seriously, I swear they always adjust the success rate of enchantment whenever they do an update or a sale related to enchanting chances, or the likelihood of players trying to enchant something. Enjoy Dark Knight. Have you tried Shift Q Hotbar 5 for grinding? Have seen other Korean streamers. Oh, you mean this one? I do use it more often in Gahaz, but I'm kind of hesitant to use it in Crescent Temple because it leaves me exposed for a long time after the cast. The initial casting speed is quite fast, but the delay after it leaves me vulnerable for quite a long time, so I'm not really comfortable with using it, except when I'm trying to recover HP. NC is still on my personal backlist thanks to Cities of Heroes shutdown. Well then, I have to say that game must have been doing extremely poorly, because NC would make every effort to arrange every the last drop out of any game that they're servicing. So for them to completely shut down a title means that even they couldn't find a way to milk out the last penny out of that title. Yeah, one thing to remember about online games is that the moment it loses profitability is not when it's just straight out is not making money, but it's when its maintain costs. Sorry, maintenance cost exceeds the amount of money that it's making. But on that part, I think that Nexon tends to be more picky about investment to return ratio. Oh right, almost forgot. Have to make setup for my next hour. Are you gonna main Dark Knight then? Well, yeah, that's currently the plan. Although I'll have to look at how much success I have in getting a Dandelion weapon when her Awakened weapon comes out. But of course, all plans of making my Dark Knight my main would go out the window if her awakened weapon is incredibly boring. But somehow I have faith that that would not be the case. I mean, for all the complaints I have about the Korean gaming industry, I always mention that they're consistently good at making good playable characters. It's just that they suck at everything else. A good playable character is only as good as the playground that they're going to be playing in, which is the stage. But it seems like for Korean developers, stage design is a concept that is whispered in far foreign lands. So they left money on the table. That makes no sense even for the aversive greed. Well, when it comes to questionable decisions, Dom games or Kakao games, they call themselves these days. Certainly, there's plenty of those too. Because, I mean, a lot of the decisions they make are just completely bogus. They can't even be explained by greed. For example, how poorly they handled the pearl shop situation in North America. Because I couldn't imagine anyone in their right mind thinking that situation would turn out well. So it doesn't seem to be for greed. The pearl shop situation I'm talking about. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be for greed, and it certainly was not for the benefit of the players. Then the question is, who was it for? Then again, I guess saying in their right mind would be a too high of a standard for Town, because they really haven't been known for their educated business decisions. But yeah, I'm certainly not grinding as fast as my witch, because she didn't have enough monsters to go around in this area. try pressing your number 5 after the skill. Alright, let's see how that works. I don't really see its merits. I mean, I thought it would be a skill motion cancel, kind of like how this works. Let's see. Yeah, so that that just moves on to the immediately moves on to the force strike of my this attack. It didn't cancel my delays any bit, and I'm better off using my number 5 skill earlier because it has a huge versus monster attack damage buff on its specialization. And the choice is furthermore puzzling because, as I said, my Shift Q skill, it reacts quickly, but the downtime after it's casted is long, so it's actually better as a finishing attack instead of a starter. So it's actually better to use in opposite order. Last info we got was it was still making money, like Kendrick said. Even the devs of the game were surprised. By the way, like your stream. Ah, thanks. To be honest, well, I guess this really isn't a confession because I mention it a lot, but I don't really think that highly of my own streams because I don't manage to talk a lot. It will be entertaining. It's so hard for me to find something to say. What I mean, not just that, but it's even difficult for me to think of simple vocabulary words when I'm playing games. I say this all the time, but it still astounds me how people are able to stream with FPS games. Did they say anything about Awakened release? Nothing on that part. But I have this firm, unsustained belief that they're going to try to release it along with Kama Silva Part 2 update. I'm not really sure on when the invincibility kicks in when I'm doing the sidestep. Because for that earlier knockdown, I swear that I was in the middle of teleporting and I still got hit. Then again, maybe I read wrong and the invincibility is only on my forward dash. What made you decide to come to Crescent Temple? I thought you preferred Kahaz. Well, I do, but I sometimes come to Crescent Temple whenever I think I might be able to get a spot. And so yesterday I used my amazing deducing capabilities to figure out that a lot of people are going to be staying up late yesterday, which in turn means that no one will be here in the morning. And so far I can say that that little gamble has paid off. Oh, and of course being on the Olvia channel helps, but another thing is that in the Olvia channel, since more people tends to be like at lower level and crappy gear, the higher level popular spots tend to be more unpopulated, and the weaker spots more populated, and that is exactly the current situation of Gahaz and Olvia. It's getting so crowded now. No, and also this simple circular course makes it easier for me to read and answer to chat. It's a lot more difficult when I have to move through a more complicated path. Shit. So I wasn't wrong. Both statues does have an invincibility on it, but I guess I got the wrong idea of when the actual timing is. What food do you bring for grinding? It really differs depending on my character. For my Dark Knight, I bring Jungle King Burger, Serendia Special, and milk tea. Dude I was watching had 201 AP. He was killing them with those two skills. Yeah, if I had enough AP on me, I guess that would have been a viable choice. But still, I'm still wonky with the order. I still prefer to use my number 5 skill then Shift Q, because the number 5, both of them are down attacks, but only the number 5 skill causes bound. The Shift Q is a stun. Is it me or are my pets doing a particularly crappy job of looting corpses? Oh right, almost forgot. Currently leveling up a new cat. I got from an achievement. Yeah, that explains it. Do you have one monitor? Yeah. I'm currently working with only one monitor. So I'm alt-tabbing to see chat like a total scrub. Keep forgetting to refill on my beer. Which really sounds weird out of context. I think I finally realized why Crescent Temple didn't feel so impressive to me in the past. Witch is so amazing at farming that even when she's in this circular arena in Crescent Temple, she doesn't really gain much out of it because her grinding speed is so fast that she can catch up with this rate in Gahaz because she's killing monsters at such a high speed. And on the other hand, my Valkyrie, well, she's so crappy at grinding that it's the same either way. So it's actually for the first time with my Dark Knight that I can actually feel the experience gain difference with Crescent Temple and Gahaz because like she's more of the middle ground between the two. Which makes sense considering that witches are so good at grinding that they can even grind Filaku with 180 AP. Grinding seems a bit slower, sir. Well, I'm not really the expert at grinding at Crescent Temple with various characters, but with the 3 characters that I actually did play with, I'd say Dark Knight is more of the middle ground between Valkyrie and Witch. Oh, and one thing to consider is, as mentioned below you, I only have 180 AP with my Dark Knight. I should have used that for an attack speed buff. This game's so freaking amazing. Why do you think it's so underrated? Well, as an MMORPG, I certainly do agree that it's top notch, but with how far gaming has come, I think MMOs in general are going out of fashion. If only developers could figure out a way to add more actual content to MMORPGs besides grinding. I think that would actually be able to take MMORPGs out of the slump they're currently experiencing. But yeah, I mean, out of MMORPGs, again, I agree that it's top notch. Which is all the more the reason I feel so disappointed in it. Just so much wasted potential. Because I've never been able to experience world PvP like I have in Black Desert. It's just that the prerequisite to at least even be a nuisance to your enemies is so harsh. I mean, I think getting to level 58 is harsh enough, but getting to 59 is like, I'm not sure if it was twice or triple of it. But anyway, it's a it's a multitude harder to get to level 59, and even more for level 60. And these days, it seems like getting 61 is the norm for PvP, at least in the Korean servers, that is. So I have to work for so countless hours to enjoy the actual entertaining content. Yeah, I agree that even grinding can be enjoyable to some extent, but this game just pushes it too hard. I mean, I guess I really should be blaming Lineage because it really set the milestone for unreasonable grind amounts. Because compared to the grind that Korean games used to have in like the early millennium, the grind in Black Desert is comparatively more lenient, if you can actually believe that. I mean, like, I've been playing in the past. I've been playing Ragnarok on online, and like there, I've been grinding for an hour to get like 0.4%, and that was on a lucky day. And usually, I only got 0.3%. What's more is that in that day's standard, Ragnarok was actually considered to be a more casual MMORPG. So as I've mentioned, grinding can be enjoyable to some extent because, well, since the one thing Korean developers has been consistently good on is creating fun, playable characters to play with. So even if the playground itself is completely crap, I can still have a bit of fun with grinding. In the sense that I'm like, practicing against a target dummy or something like that. I'm getting used to my skills. But that can only last so long. Like maybe 4 hours a week, that would be that would be okay, and 6 hours in a pinch too. But from what I've been hearing from other players and how other people have been grinding, it seems like the norm for Black Desert is let's see, 8. The norm seems to be about like 12 hours of, at least 12 hours of grinding each week. And I'd say 10 hours the maximum I would invest in grinding over the course of a week. That is, if I've decided to completely go no lifer during that given week. Which is a real shame because the longest gaming sessions that I've ever spent on this game has always been in the arena. Yeah, because I mean, in that case, like 12 hours is actually a joke. I could probably stay there 24/7 if it were for real life obligations. So one might ask, then why aren't you why aren't you in the ring right now and grinding? Well, that's exactly the problem. I have to be at least level 59 to be a minor nuisance. At level 58 and below, then I'm not even worth considering more than a monster. Sorry. Haven't really experienced Ragnarok ever since it went free to play. I've actually quit long before that, but I kind of like returned for about a week to see how much I've changed right before it's been switched free to play. Well, one thing that I'm happy to see with Dark Knight is that they actually made her swinging her sword left or right actually have some meaning. Like for example, this skill. Let's see. So she, depending on which direction her arm was at, will change the direction she uses this skill. For example, if her sword was on the right, she slashes towards the left. But I guess you'd actually want to go left to right because it's spammable then. But if you do from right to left, then you always have to mix a normal attack in between. Yeah, I informed that guy wrong. I'm actually going to be doing only one more hour. This place is so popular, it can't even be free in the morning in the restricted Olvia channel. Well, at least that person had the decency to ask. Unlike those other two that I've seen on my witch stream. It really boggles my mind on how they thought trying to steal from a witch would be a good idea. Alright, so and so I was talking about the left and right thing. So it's not only to that skill, but it's also to my poke skill. So normally, since my sword is on my left, I'll poke this way. Let's say if it was on the right. I used it too late. See, the first hit was actually from my right side. The follow-up attack then moved on to the left side. I always enjoy it when developers pay special attention to these little details. It makes the game feel more realistic than any amount of extra polygons can. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with chat right now, but there's a lot. Yeah, when you start ignoring real life responsibilities because you need 200 million for witch earrings, and it stops being fun. That reminds me of one of my friends that played and quitted Black Desert, and that was exactly around the moment he was farming Hexe. He realized that his life has started to revolve around the satisfying sound fanfare that comes out whenever he picked up an earring, and that's the moment he quit playing. Smart bastard. Grinding the old Final Fantasy games and Pokemon games. Well, that seems to be the direction Peria Chronicles is aiming for. From what little I have been able to learn, that is. Because it looks like gathering contracts for various Kiranas will be a central part of playing that game, which is essentially filling up your Pokemon decks. Alright, this is going to be the last hour for this stream. The start of the last hour, that is. I can't believe I haven't even got a single ring, even with all these item chance increase buffs I have. That was not my intention. Well, with the topic of what YouTube is doing, I can certainly say that was it YouTube Heroes is actually one of the dumbest things they've been able to sync up of. I mean, seriously, practically handing over moderator rights to the community. How could they envision that working out? Because, I mean, as a member of the community myself, I can vouch that the community is a cesspool. One of the things I also really enjoy about Dark Knight's motion is that her sword motions are far more varied than any character they have released in this game. For example, Warrior with a sword and shield, he just seems to be striking downwards all day long. And as for Musa and Mehwa, they just seem to be poking or just slashing upwards or downwards. It just seems like they have no horizontal strikes at all if you see their actual gameplay. I mean, of course, Mehwa does have that like left click, right click skill, but it holds such a small portion of her actual motion time, and because of since its time is more spent on charging it really doesn't contribute a lot to the number of her actual movements for horizontal strikes. Sword motion was exactly the reason why I lost interest in Musa when he first came out and I played him. It just really didn't feel like I was using a sword. offhand durability is dangerously low. Anyway, I should get back to chat. How would you compare the mobility of Valkyrie compared to Ranger? Let's just say, I mean, the difficult part about comparing mobility in this game is that mobility has various different aspects. Like, if you're just like plain trying to move around places, mobility, and there's also combat mobility, which is the mobility of how much mobility you have when you're actually trying to attack. And in Dark Knight's case, I would say that during combat, she has enough burst mobility to be able to catch up to a ranger, but if you're trying to chase a ranger that's running away, or if you are trying to run away from a ranger, then, well, the ranger is going to be faster than you are. But if you're fighting against each other, then yeah, the Dark Knight does have enough burst mobility to take a shot at the to take the shot at the ranger. Unlike the Valkyrie, but then again, who is the Valkyrie able to catch up with anyone, except for other Valkyries, that is. I stopped playing. I remember standing in the area by the storage variant try, which is at 35 stacks, 8 times in a row. From what I've seen, accessory and enchanting is certainly not something one should do with a goal in mind. It should just be something that's done as a hobby when you have the funds to spare. Because I've rarely seen cases of people trying to get an accessory by enchanting it themselves, not turning out to be a complete disaster. Which is why I'm going to stubbornly try to buy tri-witch earrings from the auction house, no matter how much times I fail to buy it. What does the 100 rage observation do? It's increased attack speed. Which is something that the Dark Knight is in desperate need of. And here's my gear. You can try pausing at that moment. So basically 185 AP and 279. Well, I guess that we could generally count that as 280 PP. I should have used my bard skill.
What should I do? Oh, that is going dangerously low.
Then again, I could have my Musa, who's in Valencia, go and repair it.
hurting this group that row right now. Well, with how things are going, it looks like the last 30 minutes of this stream is going to be quite really quiet. Anyway, back to the topic of the reason I've originally started the stream. So I was talking about all the work with my blog and channel that I haven't been working on. I guess the first thing on my list should be that Hyper Universe video that I've been editing, since I did stop halfway through editing. the article on her second weapon shouldn't be too hard, since I just have to compile what little images and videos there are available, and then to write a little bit of my own impression on it. Which won't be a lot, since they didn't really actually explain the actual mechanics. I mean, they did mention, like, yeah, well, they do mention the core concepts of it during the developers video. I think that's what they're going to be. The differences DevCat is aiming for now. Instead of like for developers note, they're going to mention more of the minor details, and for big chunks like character updates and stuff like that, they're going to go with those video logs. But of course, they still would have to eventually release the developers note when Herc's weapon is updated on the test server. I have my fingers crossed that test server release will be on the first week of January, because the pre-register event for her second weapon is up till the second week, which strongly implies that it's going to be updated during the second week or third week. Okay, I think it's completely broke, right? Good thing I have a workaround for this. Although I question the feasibility of doing it just for 30 minutes worth of grinding. Then again, yeah, maybe I won't, because I only have 2 maids. I mean, so I could put it in. Right. No, actually, oh, it would work with 2 maids. So yeah, this is the loading screen that I mentioned earlier. Not as informative as the original one, but it certainly makes the make Black Desert seem more like a respectable game, and not a simulation for a concept.
평생 내가 할 줄 아는 것이라고 남편 옆에서.
Sheesh, this repair guy has to be so far away.
흥해의 도시 발렌시아에 온 걸 진심으로 환영합니다.
시간은 늘 손에 쥔 모래같이 새어나가지.
Back good as new. I keep forgetting if I have 1 or 2 charge with my side dash. Sorry, so it doesn't do much.
What is your favorite class?
Valkyrie will always have a place in my heart, but I just really can't play her anymore because of how crappy she is. So currently, the character that is keeping me playing this game is Dark Knight. I haven't seen real people do this Dark Knight, I'm afraid. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to show it, but it's kind of difficult for me since I'm only level 58 right now, and my gear is piss poor as well. Once I get to level 59 and I'm able to enchant my Kazaka, then yeah, then maybe I would have a chance then. Ah, rats. I needed to use that gauge for an attack speed buff. Luck was that Kazaka, I just got mine yesterday. Well, I could say for a fact that luck isn't with me when we're talking about my Kazaka, because it already had made me do 2 full durability repairs, and it's still at 16 plus. Whoops. That was a bad idea, even while I was using that skill. This one I didn't expect so much.
shows. My attention span is waning.
grinding pattern here seems to be stabilizing though, seeing how I'm starting to catch up with the regeneration rate. think this is going to be my last lap. Alright, guess that's enough from grinding. Should return back to town, and I think someone requested they see my witch build, so I should probably show that too, but fair warning, it's not really going to be much help because I've put as much thought into it as a person looking at blinking lights would. Have you tried it with Rosar? No. I mean, no reason to since I already have a Urea and I'm working on a Kozaka. One of the reasons I really don't like coming to present Temple often is because it's just so every single session is so exhausting. The trip is so far away, so if I'm not planning to do a 3-hour session, then it's not really worth it. And even then, there's so much work to be done to be simply able to come here and do stuff. Which is why I always prefer Gahaz, because I could park my character in Shakatu and just like go for a stroll, do 1 hour, and then turn the game off. Way more manageable. Because in recent days I barely have enough time to even do 1 hour daily. Which is bad because I really need to be making the most out of my limited access to Alvia channel. Hello, Thene. You've come just in time for the grand finale. Which always concerns this big mecha bird thingy. Can Puturum drop something nice? Never heard of anyone getting something nice from Puturum. Just seems like a bunch of random emblems and black stones. Have you completed the new expansion? If you're talking about Kama Silva, I'm still in the process of doing the quests, but kind of stopped midway because I didn't really want to bother with doing it with my Valkyrie that much. So I'm gonna continue it with my Dark Knight once I get her to level 59 at least. Let me think. I wonder if I could. Yeah, maybe before closing the stream, I could show one round at Crimson Battlefield. I definitely won't be killing anyone and just dying a lot, but at least I could show how a Dark Knight can move in a battlefield. How are you finding it in the Kama Silver region? Well, the region is interesting, what little they have revealed of it. But the monsters there are way too high stat for me to efficiently grind there. I think you should have at least 230 AP and be level 60 to consider grinding there.
사막을 여행하려면 낙타 한 마리 죽은 장만하셔야 할 거요. 이 바루한 바자르에서 진정한 사막이 시작된다오. 날국이던 명마도 사막에선 할 수 없지.
Alright, let's try doing a round in Crimson Battlefield and show my witch build for whatever it's worth in the stream there.
여길 오시다니 정말 용감하시군요. 필요한 물품이 있다면 어서 보십시오.
Jeez, they're going through my guard like cotton candy.
제 의뢰를
Knew that would be trouble as soon as I saw the wizard do a cast motion.
여길 오시다니 정말 통하면
They really need to fix how obnoxious that mint-colored ghillie suit is so difficult to tell apart from enemies. Killed by Tom Cruise.
여길 오시다니 정말
So you might notice that even for being a level 58, my crowd control skills are going in pretty nicely. So yeah, so although my crowd control skills are going in, I'm doing piss poor damage, which is meaningless.
필요한 물품이 있다면 어서
So my best hope is to try to take down an enemy and hope one of my allies take them down, do the actual damage. Yeah, that was a bunch of lag.
여길 오시다니
Where did that come from? So yeah, even though I'm just like dying a lot, I think a lot of you can certainly agree that Dark Knight itself as a class is showing a lot of potential. And I guess I'm actually dying a lot slower than I thought I would. I guess that extra defense from Kutum is actually doing me some good. this battle is going nowhere quite very quickly. Since she has so much teleporting skills, it's difficult to keep track of where Dark Knight is going. Too bad for me that since there's so many opponents in this enclosed area, it's kind of difficult for me to keep track of everyone as well.
제 의뢰를 받으시.
Super armor doesn't mean much when my defense can't cover up for all the damage I'm taking.
붉은 전장은 당신을
Strange. I thought I had blocked that attack.
잘 통하면
Giant on our team. Sure, it's sure something.
여길 오시다니
sorceress.
필요한 물품이 있다면 제 의뢰를 받으시고
Oh, that was a lot, a lot more fun than expected. Although I still have to get the hang of getting to tell exactly how far my range goes. Yeah, that took surprisingly long, even though I wasn't drinking any potions at all. What role would the Dark Knight play in No Dwarf? Well, I'd say it'd be similar to what sorcerers do. Although, so far she is showing better ranged capabilities. Alright, so I'm planning to end the stream here. Well, before that, show my witch build and end the stream there. Is there any last requests? Something you'd like to see before I end the stream? Alright then, I'll move on to my witch and then and then I'll end the stream there. So yeah, my current build for witch is like completely bogus. I've been meaning to switch this around, but as far as grinding goes, I really don't have any problem with it, so that's why I'm just leaving it as it is. Because in the end, like, besides the heal and haste buff, I barely use any non-awakened skills anyway. So it doesn't have any meaning at all, and I haven't really felt any difference from the cast speed passive, but it's still something that I want to eventually get when I'm able to reset my skills, that is. As for awakened weapon skills, I mean, these are always no-brainers. The only thing that really is worth giving thought into is how much of the basic attack you want to level up. And as for my witch's cases, I felt this is the right amount that I need. I really never felt any need for more mana from this point. Alright then, I guess that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Oh, and guess it's still 2 days before in North America and Europe, but since we only have less than 12 hours over here, Happy New Year's.